We are witnessing a new global epidemic where now more than ever, people are feeling disenfranchised in their lives. They're feeling a lack of contentment, feeling that they're not living their true life purpose. And in this video, I'm going to share with you on how to identify what your life purpose is. But first, let's discuss the obvious. The world's getting crazier. People are working themselves to the bone. And they're asking themselves, well, is there more to life than just working 5 days a week for the weekend and, of course, for the paycheck? I mean, we're seeing how the surveys are done where it's not just millennials, by the way, where job dissatisfaction and disengagement is soaring, where you have nearly 3 out of 4 people, essentially, that just don't like what they do for a living. Or if you look at the fact that depression rates have skyrocketed over the last decade. But nowhere is it more apparent when you look at the fact that people are dying with regrets. They're not living their lives. And like I said, this is a true epidemic. There have been surveys conducted at various hospitals and hospice cares where people are asked who are on their deathbed. They know that they're on their way out. And they're asked if they could go back in their lives and do something different. What do they wish they could do different? And what's amazing is that there were 5 answers that were so common. Let me just show you. Answer number 1, which was the most common, which is, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I'm going to discuss that because that's incredibly important. But let me get through the other 4 first. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Now, real quick, 3, maybe 4 of these you could argue are straight up work or career related. I mean, come on. I wish I had stayed in touch with friends. Let's be honest. You don't see your friends as much because you work so much, right? Number 5, I wish I'd let myself be happier. Well, okay, so you spent most of your life working for a job that you didn't love, right? There you go. So let me get back to number 1 real quick. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. I mean, how many people choose a career path because of their parents pushed them into it, or maybe they went to school thinking that was the way to go, or society as a whole, we don't think for ourselves. I mean, I love this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And how true this is. It's always the people that are trying to fit in and just coast through society and check off the boxes, right? But where's that getting us? Again, people are dying with regrets, and people now more than ever are living with this lack of purpose in their life. What we have to start asking ourselves is, who do we want to be? Not what, but who. Because we have free will, we have choices, and today can be the choice that you make to decide that, you know what, I'm not happy in my life. There are other things that I dream about doing and I just don't do. And why don't you do it? Well, for a bunch of reasons. You can't because of, you can't sacrifice the pay, or you're just not in a position to be able to do it right now, and you put things off and it never gets done. And before you know it, you're one of these people on their deathbeds dying with your own regrets. You have to realize that any dream that you have that you want is absolutely possible, and it's you that's creating the obstacles because of your preconceived notions and life experience. You think that, you know what, because something's not in front of you that's so obvious, it's not apparent on how to do it, that you assume that it's not possible when it is. You have to get creative. But ultimately, it's our fears that get the best of us and prevent us from doing this. There's a quote by Les Brown, which is, too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears. I mean, think about this. It's self-doubt that we get in our mind that we can't do this because we're either worried what others will think or we're worried about failure. Self-doubt kills more dreams than any failure ever will. In fact, let me get into another quote real quick by Les Brown, which is, the wealthiest place on the planet is the graveyard, because in the graveyard we find inventions that we were never exposed to, ideas, dreams that never became a reality, hopes and aspirations that were never acted upon. Think about that. How many people, including yourself, wish that they could do something different and we just don't do it? Imagine how much this world has been robbed of, whether it's the cure for cancer or whatever it is, because people decided to take the easy path. They had self-doubt, they had fear. In fact, this reminds me of a quote by Aristotle I'll share in a second, which is that a lot of people are afraid of criticism. They're afraid what other people are going to think if they decide to just go their own way, because let's not forget the answer, the number 1 answer to people's greatest regret, which is that they wish that they had lived a life for themselves and not what other people have wanted out of them. They didn't think for themselves. They were too afraid of not fitting in. Well, like Aristotle said, there is only one way to avoid criticism. do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. And a big part of what it comes down to is having self-trust, to trust your instincts, to trust your intuition. You have to listen to yourself and know what it is that you want, because otherwise, how's the world going to treat you? We're seeing this. Again, it's an epidemic. And now is the time for people to start making real changes in their life. Today is the day that you decide, you know what? I'm not completely content in my life. There are things that I really want to do. I have dreams, and I'm not going to be that guy on my deathbed or that girl or whoever that has these regrets. So this is the part where people are wondering, well, wait a second, what does this mean though? How do I turn this into making money and surviving? Because it's so easy to say when you're not the one that has bills, and how am I going to support my family and do all this? It's too late for me to make these changes. No, it's not. It's never too late. The obstacles are blinding you that you're not seeing the other possibilities that can get you there. It's the same thing that's worked out in my life. I went back to school because I thought I wanted to be Mr. Corporate America and make a bunch of money sitting behind a desk, until I realized that was going to bring me nothing but suffering. And it was. I was living a miserable life and I couldn't figure out why. And the reason is that I felt like I didn't make any decisions in my life to where I was that were thought of on my own. I listened to what other people thought I should do and I didn't think for myself. But like I said earlier in the video, how do you find your life purpose? Well, there's a series of questions, 4 questions in fact. Look at this Venn diagram. What do you love doing? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? Those 4 questions are what you have to explore on your own, just as I did. And this has worked incredibly effective for me, although it didn't work in one day either. But you have to look at various things like, what is it that you truly love? What are you passionate about? Ask yourself the times in your life that you were most proud of yourself. What was that? What were you doing? Or also, the times in your life that you were the most happy. What did that look like? What was your life at that time? What were you doing? You just have to get creative and think outside the box on how you can make that your own. In fact, that reminds me of another quote, and this is by Joseph Campbell for sure, which is, you are the hero of your own story. You need to map out your life as if you're watching a movie that you would love, an entertaining movie, whatever that may be. Your storyline, and you have free will. It cannot be overstated on how significant that is, that most people don't realize that you always have a choice. You are empowered with reason. You are empowered with knowledge and intellectual capabilities as being a human being, right? You always have a choice. And even when you think that the choices are limited, you always have a choice. So now is the time for people to start waking up and realizing and taking control of their own lives. Live their life like it's the story or movie that you would watch, right? It can be full of adventure, it can be full of whatever it is, but you can become that. I'm on the path to doing it. I'm going to prove it. So if I can do it, and I have so many things to share about myself, so I look forward to developing this channel and sharing more about me and my journey and how I came to this. And so look forward to all that, but you can do it. If I can do it, so can you. Because the last thing you want to do is become these people that are dying on their deathbed. So again, there are 4 questions you have to ask yourself. What do you love doing? Spend time pondering this. You won't figure out in one day, because there are so many things that you probably love, right? What are you good at? Well, I'm sure you realize things that you're not good at, and you're probably thinking, well, I'm good at a bunch of things. But you have to combine that, and again, it goes back to the Venn diagram. Combine all 4 of these questions. What does the world need, and how can I make money doing it? When you combine these 4 things, and this actually is something that I used that took me, many weeks of pondering over, months and months, to be able to figure it out. So it's something you might not be able to figure out in one day, but the bottom line is this. The world's getting crazy. We all have choices, and the world is what we make of it. And your life is your own story. It's your own journey. And don't become part of this demographic of people that are falling into depression, that are falling into disengagement at work. Because I know that many people watching this are, but you have a choice. And today is the day that you decide, you know what? I'm going to identify what my life purpose is. I'm going to learn what my life purpose is, and I'm going to live it. I'll leave it at that, guys. I'm Jimmy. This is Bright Insight. I look forward to reading comments on this, and I hope this brings fulfillment to somebody. This video might not be for everyone, but I'm sure that if it's not for you, it's certainly for somebody that you know in your own life. But I'll leave it at that. I have many videos to come on a whole wide variety of topics. Take care, everybody.